Welcome back to Raptor-One.
Chapter 1. Echoes on Vera, 9. The void was a tapestry of cold fire. Thousands of stars stretched across the infinite black, each one a silent lantern burning in the dark ocean of space. For most, the stars were distant mysteries to be admired from the safety of settled worlds or the bustling corridors of orbital stations. But for Captain Lyra Vega, the stars were roads. She sat alone on the bridge of her ship, Raptor-One, her chin resting lightly on one hand as the holographic projection of the planet ahead slowly turned before her eyes. Vera, 9, emerald jungles wrapped in gold rivers, encircled by thick bands of cloud. A world unmarked on trade routes, absent from patrol schedules, unvisited in centuries if at all. It was the kind of place Lyra lived for. Her ship whispered around her, a low, steady vibration of engines and life support systems, punctuated by the faint hum of plasma conduits in the walls. To an outsider, Raptor-One might have seemed small, even cramped, a vessel built for speed and survival rather than luxury. But to Lyra, she was home. Every flicker of light, every creak of the hull, every familiar sound of the reactor cycling was comfort. A door hissed open behind her. "Tell me again," a voice drawled, "why we're not parked at the Obsidian Outpost right now? You know, somewhere with drinks, music, and absolutely zero chance of being skewered by alien plants or dismembered by carnivorous locals." Kael Draven slouched onto the bridge with the ease of someone who had never taken anything seriously in his life. His jacket hung half unzipped, his hair stuck out in careless tufts, and a grease stain smeared the collar of his shirt. He dropped into the co-pilot's chair, propping his boots on the console as if daring Lyra to object. Lyra didn't look at him, though a smile tugged at the corner of her lips. "Because," she said, "you'll thank me when we discover something no one else has ever seen." Kael snorted. "I'd thank you more if we discovered a bottle of half-decent whiskey, preferably without being vaporized in the process." "You have no sense of wonder," Lyra teased. "I've got plenty of wonder," Kael said, stretching. "I wonder why I keep letting you drag me into places that want to kill me. I wonder why I haven't retired to some nice asteroid with a hydroponic still. And I wonder why Juno keeps agreeing to this insanity." "She agrees," Lyra said, turning in her chair to look past him, "because she knows the universe has more to offer than whiskey and hydroponics." At the star map station, Juno Solari raised her head. She had been standing there quietly, her pale fingers hovering over the projection of local space, her dark eyes reflecting the light of shifting constellations. Her hair was braided neatly down her back, the strands catching the glow of the star map. "There's something strange," Juno said softly. Kael groaned. "And here we go." Lyra leaned forward. "What is it?" Juno's brow furrowed, her voice even quieter now. "It's like a resonance. Not sound exactly. A vibration. A song you can't quite hear, but you feel it in your chest." Kael threw his hands in the air. "Wonderful. Last month it was haunted asteroids. Before that, the Phantom Nebula. Now we've got a singing planet. This job is going to kill me." Lyra ignored him, her gaze fixed on the turning sphere ahead. Her heartbeat quickened, not with fear, but with the familiar fire of curiosity. "Let's go hear the song for ourselves. Set descent course." Through the fire. Raptor-One tilted as Lyra guided her toward atmosphere. The hull groaned, shields flaring as they plunged into the thick blanket of Vera 9's clouds. The ship shook violently, turbulence rattling every bolt, flames licking her wings as friction roared against her frame. Kael clutched the edge of his chair, his face pale. "One of these days, I'm inventing a way to skip entry altogether. Hold on to your stomach, Lyra said dryly, keeping her hands steady. Then the clouds broke. Emerald spread before them in every direction, endless jungle canopy rolling like an ocean, broken only by glittering rivers that cut molten gold ribbons through the green. Sunlight caught on mist, painting rainbows above towering cliffs. And then they saw them. Spikes of crystal rose from the jungle like the bones of some forgotten god. Each spire was impossibly tall, faceted and seamless, glowing faintly from within. They pulsed in rhythm with Juno's song, each beat echoing in Lyra's chest. She let out a low breath. Now that's worth more than any cantina. Even Kael, cynical as ever, could only stare. Okay, he admitted. That's something. Juno whispered, almost reverent, alive. They're alive. Lyra angled the ship toward a clearing near the nearest spire. The hum grew stronger as they descended, until it was almost a pressure against their bones. The jungle floor. The air outside was thick with humidity, heavy with the smell of wet earth and unfamiliar pollen. Birds scattered as the trio stepped from the ship, their cries echoing through the canopy before fading to uneasy silence. The spire loomed before them, smooth and translucent, its surface cool beneath Lyra's gloved hand. She felt the thrum deep in her palm, steady as a heartbeat. Kael crouched, sweeping his scanner across the base. Seamless structure. No seams, no joints, no erosion. Not natural, not built with tools. It's like it grew here. Not natural, Juno repeated, her gaze fixed on the glow within. But not ours. Lyra leaned close. The pulse quickened faintly beneath her hand. She whispered, "What happens if we wake it up?" Kael shot her a look. "What happens is we die horribly, and I get to say I told you so right before the end." Lyra grinned. Only one way to find out. Before Juno could protest, Kael pressed his palm against the crystal. His scanner lit up, readings spiking, and then the spire shuddered. Light raced through its veins, spiraling upward until the whole tower blazed like a beacon. The hum became a roar, vibrating through the air. The jungle went silent. Then the ground split open. The Guardians. The earth shook as fissures cracked around the spire's base. From them rose massive forms, golems of crystal and stone, etched with glowing runes. Their eyes flared white as they stepped forward, each movement slow, deliberate, unstoppable. Kael stumbled back. "Oh, fantastic. I did wake it up." Lyra drew her pistol, her voice sharp. "Back to the ship. Now." But Juno didn't move. Her body trembled, her eyes glowing faintly. She pressed her hands to her temples, her voice layered with something not entirely her own. "Starborn. Seekers. Not yet ready." The words rang inside Lyra's skull like thunder. "Juno." Lyra grabbed her, shaking her shoulder, but Juno's gaze was locked on the Guardians. "They're not attacking," Juno whispered. "They're measuring us." The nearest Guardian raised its arm. Energy gathered within its chest, forming a blinding sphere. "Could have fooled me," Kael shouted, diving behind a root. Lyra steadied her weapon, but her gut twisted. This wasn't a fight they could win. Raptor-One, defensive protocols, now? Above them, the ship's cannons roared to life. Plasma bolts streaked through the air, slamming into the Guardian's chest. Shards of crystal exploded outward, scattering like glass across the clearing. The other Guardians advanced, undeterred. The tower's hum rose to a keening song, high and terrible. Juno's voice joined it, strained, breaking. The architects are watching. Then the clearing erupted in light and fire. Retreat. Lyra half-carried Juno back to the ship as Kael fired wildly over his shoulder. The Guardians closed in, their glowing eyes unblinking, their every step shaking the ground. They stumbled up the ramp just as one of the giants slammed a crystalline fist into the hull, nearly knocking Raptor-One sideways. "Engine's hot," Kael yelled, vaulting into the pilot's chair. Lyra shoved Juno into her seat and slammed her hand on the control panel. The ship roared to life, straining as another blast of energy slammed against its shields. "Punch it," Lyra barked. Kael's fingers danced across the console, and Raptor-One screamed upward into the sky. Energy beams lanced past them, searing the air. The ship jolted violently, alarms shrieking. Then, silence. They burst free of the atmosphere, the emerald world shrinking behind them. Lyra finally let herself breathe. Juno slumped, pale, whispering. They were only the first. Lyra stared out at the stars, her heart pounding. The towers, the Guardians, the message, they weren't just relics. They were warnings. And somewhere, she knew, something far greater was listening. The jungle world shrank behind them as Raptor-One climbed through layers of cloud, shuddering under the strain. Plasma trails flared in the upper atmosphere, glowing like fire across the canopy below. Only when the ship burst into the silence of space did Lyra dare to loosen her grip on the console. Her pulse still raced. The crystalline Guardians, the humming towers, Juno's voice, not yet ready. None of it felt finished. Lyra swiveled in her chair. Kael was still catching his breath, muttering curses under it. He kicked the console in frustration, though his hands shook. "Never again," he said. "Mark my words, Lyra. I am done with ancient towers and glowing rock monsters." "You've said that before," Lyra replied, voice low. "And I'll say it again when we're fighting the next bunch of homicidal architecture." Juno sat quietly at her station, her face pale, her braid damp with sweat from the strain. She hadn't spoken since they'd broken atmosphere. Her hands were clenched in her lap, as though she still felt the pulse of the spires through her skin. Lyra leaned toward her. "Juno?" For a moment, silence. Then Juno whispered, "They saw us. Not just the Guardians. Something behind them. Something vast." She closed her eyes, her voice shaking. "They weren't measuring our strength. They were measuring our worth." Kael groaned, slumping back in his chair. "Wonderful. Judged by space statues. Just what I needed today." But Lyra's attention didn't waver. She touched Juno's arm gently. "Did they say anything else?" Juno hesitated. Her eyes opened, staring past them into the stars. "Only that we were early. That the Starborn are not yet ready." Lyra sat back, her mind racing. Early for what? The debrief. An hour later, the three of them sat around the central hollow table in the ship's mess. The room was compact but functional. Metal walls lined with storage lockers, a single long table bolted to the floor, dim lighting humming overhead. Kael nursed a flask, Juno sipped water, and Lyra scrolled through the raw data on her wrist console. "Seamless crystalline construction," Lyra read aloud. "Power signatures still active after who knows how many centuries. Energy pulse activated by direct contact. Guardian constructs responsive within seconds. Not one molecule of it matches any known database." She sighed, shutting the device off. This isn't just lost tech. It's a warning system. Kael leaned forward, pointing with his flask. You're missing the most important detail. They almost killed us. Lyra ignored him. Think about it. Towers that hum. Guardians programmed not to destroy, but to test. And Juno, she gestured toward her friend, heard them, not through sound, through thought. That's not coincidence. Juno's gaze dropped. It wasn't words exactly, more like impressions, judgment given shape. It's hard to describe, but whoever made them, they wanted us to know we didn't pass. Kael rubbed his face. Then great, let's take the hint and move on. No shame in admitting we're not worthy or whatever. I don't need approval from some extinct empire. Lyra's eyes narrowed. You think they're extinct? Kael froze. What are you saying? I'm saying, Lyra said slowly, that towers don't hum forever. Guardians don't stay active for millennia, unless someone, or something, is still maintaining them. The mess fell silent. Even Kael had no retort this time. Shadows in orbit. Later, Lyra stood alone on the bridge, her hands resting on the railing as she stared down at Vera 9. The planet turned slowly below, serene now, its jungles concealing the fury of its guardians. From up here it looked like a jewel, perfect, unbroken, untouched. She touched the pocket of her jacket. Inside, the small shard of crystal she had pried from the spire's base pulsed faintly against her fingers, alive with light. She hadn't told Kael or Juno. Not yet. The shard's hum was quiet, subtle, almost like a second heartbeat, and she couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't finished with her. A chime broke the silence. Sensors detected something faint, an energy signature, out on the edge of the system. Weak, intermittent, but rhythmic. A pulse. Lyra frowned. It was nothing like the shard, nothing like the spires. This was colder, sharper, a machine's rhythm, not a living one. Her eyes narrowed. Captain? Juno's voice came softly from the doorway. She had come silently, her presence a ghost until she spoke. Lyra turned. Something's out there. Juno nodded once, as if she already knew. Her dark eyes reflected the stars. It's listening. Foreshadowing. The ship drifted in silence as Lyra set their course, curiosity gnawing at her. Behind her, Kael appeared, rubbing his eyes. What now? Signal, Lyra said simply. Kael groaned. Of course there's a signal. Because why not chase another death trap, right after nearly being smashed by crystal titans? But Lyra's gaze was locked on the faint pulsing dot on her display. Whatever it wasn't random. We came out here to explore, she said firmly. And that's exactly what we're going to do. Kael muttered something rude under his breath, but Juno only whispered. It isn't just a signal. It's a summons. Lyra's pulse quickened. The first note of a larger song had begun. And Raptor-One was already chasing it.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to be notified about upcoming releases to the Raptor-One series, please subscribe. This has been a Bad Karma Drone production.